Hello, and welcome to another episode of PsycKicks. My name is Liv, and this is the podcast where we talk about all things metaphysical, spiritual, paranormal, and in between. If that's something that sounds intriguing to you, then you keep on listening. That's what I'm here for. As a psychic medium, it is my mission to understand and learn about all things metaphysical, spiritual, and paranormal, and that's what we talk about here. So, today I'm going to share a couple stories, and by a couple, I really truly mean a couple. And I've been trying to live my life a little more in the present, and I feel like that is super overused and obnoxious nowadays, like in the pop culture, social things, whatever now. But I feel like it's annoying because people talk about being present, but they don't necessarily explain how they do it or what it entails necessarily, which leads people like me to being frustrated and annoyed and think that they're just using click words to be obnoxious. So I'm going to talk to you about what I think being present is a little bit, followed by a life update, because if you guys don't know me, that will help you understand who I am. People have been telling me that I should do life updates, so I started doing them at the beginning of podcasts. Anyways, I'm rambling. So, what does it mean to be present? One of my favorite things is Kung Fu Panda. And one of my favorite quotes is from the character Master Oogway, who is a really, 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 really old tortoise. And he says to Poe, who is played by Jack Black, who is also, I'm like a giant fangirl of Jack Black. I would like to be able to live my life when I'm older like Jack Black does in general, just absolutely unequivocally himself and just being happy and doing what he wants. And like Uncle Iroh from the Avatar. So anyways, my favorite quote from Master Oogway of Kung Fu Panda is, "The past is history, the future is a mystery, but the present is a gift." And I just freaking love that quote. It makes me so happy. And that's something that when I'm getting very frustrated, because I have a 10-month-old now, almost 10-and-a-half-month-old son. He's my husband and I's first baby. I try to remember that quote a little bit when I feel like the guy from Seinfeld, when I get so overwhelmed, I'm like, "Serenity now." And then that Master Oogway quote just goes through my mind. So being present for me is really just trying to feel what it is that I'm doing at the moment. And if there's something that is frustrating me and bringing out the need for thinking about the Serenity Now part from Seinfeld, think about the stuff that I'm grateful for, that I feel grounded in, and that I am able to be like, look, when I had a 5-year plan, this was a part of my 5-year plan 5 years ago, and now I'm living it. And all of the stuff that's happening right now is going towards my next 5-year plan, etc., etc. So I don't know. When I'm present, I almost use that anxiety tactic too. You know, when people are having like a panic attack or an anxiety attack and they're like, what's 5 things you can see, 3 things you can touch, 1 thing that you can, whatever, that is also one of the things that I use to stay present of like, okay, this morning, what is it like outside? Before you just get into the routine of your day, set aside some time consciously if it feels right to you. I'm not saying that you have to I'm not saying you have to do anything, but for me, I'll wake up in the morning instead of thinking like, okay, I have to go change the baby's diaper, I have to make coffee, I have to feed the dog, I have to let the dog out, I have to feed the cat, and all those just like normal, mundane, routine things. I'm like, no. How do I feel this morning? Do I feel like I want to do my hair? What kind of outfit do I maybe want to wear? Instead of just like not thinking about those things and just muddling through it, or stopping to take a second before I go pick up the baby out of his crib and going, okay, the sun is shining, the breeze is out. Does it seem warm outside? Things like that. That is what I feel like being present is. It's noticing the things around you that are happening at the moment and not necessarily trying to plan ahead for everything. And it doesn't have to be, a half an hour or an hour or like this big sit down thing. It can just be a couple seconds. Like even when I'm just trying to brush my teeth in the morning, I'll have my son, his name is Oak, like the tree, just O-A-K. And Oak is just crawling around, pulling himself up on everything, trying to get the toys that I have in the bathroom for him while I'm just trying to brush my teeth. And his new thing is he likes to try and pull on my pants and yank on my knees and grab my toes and just all this other stuff. And he doesn't do it necessarily in a need for me to pay attention to him. He's just exploring and wants me to be a part of whatever it is that he's doing. But that's overwhelming when I'm just trying to brush my teeth and wash my face. So instead of focusing on the fact that he is being a little physically overwhelming for me, I'll be like, okay, I'm just trying to brush my teeth. Is the water warm? Is the water cold? Things like that. Just being present about the less presently large portions of your life, maybe. But that's how I've been trying to be present in my life. Or when my husband comes home, instead of thinking about like, what am I going to make for dinner? What did I pull out of the freezer? What do I need to pull out of the freezer? Has the baby eaten? What are we going to eat for him? I'm just like, he made it home. He drove home safely, didn't get into a car accident. The baby's clean and happy and excited to see him. It's kind of like, think about being present, if this works for you, as like, when you're watching a movie and everything sort of like slows down around someone and they have these thoughts, even though all this other stuff is going on around them, and it like the things around them start to go in slow motion and they think about stuff. That's kind of what I do, just here and there during the day, trying to be present. And one of those things, since I've been talking about this for 7 minutes now, one of the things that I've been trying to add to being present, and also being present during the past, I guess, is writing things down. And I used to have people tell me like, well, just write it down on your phone and all this other stuff. Writing things down on my phone or on my computer or in a notes app or things like that is extremely difficult for me. I have like object permanence. And if it's not, like, my phone for me does not feel like a permanent thing. It just feels like, I don't know, just this object that I use, but it doesn't feel permanent to me. So writing things down makes my object permanence feel better, that I like physically wrote it down somewhere and I can like touch it. It's like tangible, but it's also hard to try and write things down all the time when you have a 10-month-old running around and everything else going on in your life. So I've been trying to strategically place notepads around places or my books when I think about it, for things that pop into my head when I'm like listening to a podcast. Because I do that instead of putting on like kid TV. Oh, can I listen to podcasts? As well as when I'm doing readings. A lot of things happen when I do readings for people that are spiritually enlightening. And it's not stuff that I think about. It's things that spirit share to me through the readings that I'm giving to other people. And a lot of the times they're super like beautiful, heartwarming, and enlightening things that I would have never, ever thought about by myself if I would not have had this reading with this person and talked with the soul that this person, the client that made a reading with me, sorry, I feel weird calling you clients, but I guess that is like the professional term. The lovely people that make private readings with me. I would not have had this stuff pop into my head or gotten this information or this spiritual enlightenment if it wasn't for you making a reading with me and allowing me the honor to talking to your past loved ones, because that is where I get this information from, the souls that are in heaven. And that is what I wanted to share with you guys today. So before we get into the two things that I have been able to presently write down to look back and reflect on in the future, so it's like, past, present, future, maybe, reflections. We used to do podcasts that were called like Paranormal Stories of a Medium or Metaphysical Shower Thoughts. And I feel like, as my cat knocks things down, I feel like that's a little bit of a mashup of what today is, but I don't know. I kind of want to call it maybe like Psychic Reflections or like past, present, future something. I don't know. But that's what we're going to do today. And if you don't want to hear the next couple minutes of my life update, there will be a timestamp chapters down below in either the show notes or the YouTube description. If you're listening to this on the PsycKicks Extras YouTube channel, you can skip through my life update because there'll be a little timestamp. So I will have that labeled for you. But without further ado, this is what's been up with me. So Oh, my husband made a funny thing to say the other day, actually this morning. We came home late last night because it was our mutual friend, Uncle Big Worm's birthday. So my husband and I went over to Big Worm's house to celebrate their birthday. And Okey Poke, of course, came with us. And he had a good time too with his Uncle Big Worm. And when we got home, my neighbor got Oak this like walk with me puppy dog thing, but it's super, super sensitive. So even if like you just jostle it, it starts talking. And Brad bumped into it last night when it was dark outside, or dark in our living room, I should say, while trying to put Oak upstairs in his crib to go to bed because I'd already put him to sleep on the way home. So it was just funny because he bumped his foot and you hear Brad go, ow. And then you hear, play with me. It's time to walk. And Brad's like, we've reached the part of our parenthood where everything is like a Toy Story nightmare. He's like, I don't want to have to come into the house in the middle of the night. And when I bump my foot on something, I hear, play with me. He's like, it's absolute nightmare fuel. And I just thought about it because, like, I don't know, I'm a 90s kid. You guys remember when Toy Story came out? Literally, that's what it's like. There's just things everywhere and they talk and it's just odd. So I thought that was pretty funny. What else enlightening and fun has happened since my last life update? Oh, I was sitting outside with Brad the other day when he came home from work. That's my husband. And we put Oak down in the front yard on the grass, and he was just playing with leaves and sticks, and he makes all of these really funny noises. I watched a video on Facebook or something that was a video of two parents that are like, you know, when you have kids and you start talking like kids are in the house, and they're like, oh, we're giving the people in the video, they're like, oh, we're giving the dog num nums. Oh, you want some wah-wah? And I'm just like, okay, that's fine. Brad and I don't talk like that in our house, but we do have talked like a baby speak, which is not how these people portrayed it in their video. Instead, our son makes the funniest noises in the world. Like when he's playing by himself and he's just in thought doing whatever it is that Oak is doing, he's just like, pa, 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 pa. And he just like makes that noise while he's playing. Or his new favorite one is he's like a little baby rapper, and he goes, brah, brah. And I'm just like, what are you doing? It's so cute. So instead of like making like num nums and wah wah talk in our house, the other day Brad was going up the stairs with a load of laundry to put away that I'd folded, and he's just going pa 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 pa. Like when you have two parents that are ADHD, like clinically diagnosed ADHD, and echolalia, which is just when someone says something, repeating it in like a parrot sort of manner, and you're a baby. It's the only thing Brad and I do all day. And it's just, oh, I just think it's funny that instead of like using baby talk, we just mimic our baby, but we'll do it when we're by ourselves now too. Cause oh, it's just funny. Anyways, our favorite one is just the pa pa pa. Oh, what else is new? Oh, so I was just telling you how Okey Poke was playing in the grass outside, and Brad and I were talking for a second before we went inside, just enjoying the evening when he got home. And Oak turned around and like looked at us, and he waved and he goes, brah, pa, pa, pa. And he's just like doing his Okey Poke thing. And we wave back to him, and we do the same noise back as well. I'm not going to make that noise again because you're probably just like awkwardly in public or like somewhere in your house, and people are like, what are those noises? Anyways, Brad looks at me, he goes, Oak is so proud of us. And I'm like thinking to myself, what do you mean our son is proud of us? He's 10 and a half months old. He doesn't know what being proud is like yet. I don't think so. I don't know. He's been having a lot of new emotions, but I don't know if he understands or can feel that he's proud of us. And instead of just like shutting down my husband and being like, that's stupid, he's a baby, I was like, really? How do you think so? And he's like, well, he always looks back at us to like check in, and he never does it in like a grumpy way where he gives us side eye like other babies do. He's always like happy to see us. And I feel like only someone who's proud of you would always be happy to see you and wave and acknowledge you and then go happily back to playing because whatever. And I was like, that's an interesting thought. I like that. That's a beautiful thing. And then I'm trying to ask him what he wants for dinner, and then he just interrupts me again, Bradley, with the thought of, the other reason I think he's proud of us is because he feels safe with us. And I was like, okay, how so? And he says, when you're holding him and he just tries to like do everything besides sit nicely in your arms. He's like reaching for things, putting his foot in your mouth, like hanging upside down, all this other stuff. And I was like, yeah. He goes, well, I think he's proud of us because he also feels safe enough to do that. He's like, if a baby doesn't feel safe enough to sit with you in your arms and then reach around for everything, he's like, he doesn't see himself sitting in our arms as something that's separate from him. He sees us holding him as an extension of himself, and he feels safe enough to do all of those things that make us so annoyed and overwhelmed because he feels safe. And I was like, oh, that's really cute. So, we're just having like little parent revelations here and there of baby speak around the house. Our life is a living Toy Story, and that hopefully our child feels proud and safe with us. So, that's what's new in my life right now. Oh, I also, on a more spiritual note, maybe I might put a second timestamp for this, because I know some of you are moms and you like listening to my mom updates. And then I'm sure there's some of you that are like, I don't really care that much, which I totally understand. It's just that being a mom and a medium professionally are the two biggest parts of my life right now. And I'm trying to balance them equally with as much poise, dignity, and grace as I possibly can, but it's hard, y'all. So anyways, to give everyone, the people that don't really care necessarily as much about the mom updates, a more spiritual update. I've been reading a book, and one of the parts of this book that I've been reading, I don't have it in front of me, so I can't tell you guys what it is without running away, and I don't necessarily want to do that. But anyways, the thing was like connecting with your higher self and trying to help tap into your intuition and your gut instinct, because your higher self will be the essence or energy that will help you to channel the flow of that intuitive energy. So I tried to actually do a more traditional meditation, which is not necessarily my flow. If you guys know me, I fall asleep when it comes to meditations, but I've been doing more traditional meditations when I am in bed so that I can fall asleep after whatever happens if it does happen as a meditation. So I did this little thing to try and connect with my higher self the other night before I went to bed. And one of the things that happened, it was like, sit somewhere and close your eyes and feel that everything around you is happy and that you have the answers that you need to the questions that you seek, because your higher self is the source of that intuition for you. And it was like, focus on the energy that you feel in your belly button and or sacral chakra, and feel the energy that is your gut instinct or your intuition. And then they said something, because it's a book, so I read something and it was like, now feel that the energy that is centered within the core of your being reaches the part of yourself known as your higher self, and see who it is or what happens when you try to like introduce or reconnect or channel your higher self. So while I was doing this and thinking about this, I was just like, okay, what's up, higher self? You guys want to come talk to me? Because I read it and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna put my book down. I gotta go to sleep anyways. I'm feeling kind of spiritually swifty. So let's see what happens. And I closed my eyes, and that's basically what it was. I was like, okay, which one of you flatfoots wants to talk to me? And I'm just going to tell you, I did feel very calm and I felt very intrigued. And every time I tried to bring my thoughts back to my higher self, the thing that I saw was, so I'm like laying flat on my back, right? The thing that I saw was, if you were laying on the floor and you looked up, but my eyes were closed, and like, I don't know, a couple 100 feet, 200-300 feet, and like out above me, I could see a blue and white sky. Just as if you were looking up at the sky in front of you, but it was like a little bit farther away. It almost looked more like, what is it called? Is it Art Deco? I could be wrong. But when what is it? The Sistine Chapel, the thing that Leonardo da Vinci painted. Like when you go into an old house and they have the ceiling painted like it's a sky, it was kind of like that, but it wasn't painted. It just seemed like a place in space above me that was a blue sky with big white fluffy clouds, and you could see the sky in between it. But then there was this gold sort of light that started coming down towards me, kind of like when you see it when you're driving in your car or something, when the light shines through the clouds and people are like, oh, look, it's God or something like that. I don't know. That's kind of what it looked like. And I had this very sort of like, that sniffles. She's upset that I won't let her sit on the mixer soundboard. But anyways, I don't know. I just had this very sort of like acknowledging sort of clairsentient feeling overwhelming, or like washing over me. I would say it wasn't overwhelming, like washing over me of like, I see you, I hear you, I acknowledge you. But the answer that I got, I was like, okay, so I need answers. Because I was, every time I would think about something else, I'd be like, okay, wait, no, I'm supposed to be talking to my higher self. And then when I would think about my higher self and trying to contact that aspect of me, I would see that same sort of ceiling painting, if you will, and energetic ceiling painting. And I was like, okay, well, you got to give me answers, right? This is like an intuition thing. Tell me my intuitive things, higher self. And the answer that I got was like, you have all of the information that you need right now in order to accomplish the tasks or solve the problems that you feel like you're facing. And I was like, okay, so you're giving me a magician card upright. Got it. Cool. That's a cool answer. Awesome. Thanks, higher self. And I haven't done anything with it since then, but I just figured I would share with you guys my meditative experience with what I presume to be my higher self, or at least what I was able to see of my higher self. So yeah. All right, guys, are you excited to get into my past, present, future reflection thing from the readings that I've had for a while? All right, cool. Let's get into it. So this one, I picked two stories that I kind of felt more personally drawn to, and I have other ones too that are much more like, I don't know, like spiritual ish type stuff, but I think I'm going to do a couple different renditions, or not renditions, but like a couple different podcasts with these things that I've been trying to take the time to be present and write down and remember, because I like the information. I don't want to forget, like, it's so humbling and beautiful to have readings with people. It really is just what I love to do about this business. And I don't want to forget the things that I experience, because it is like a gift. Like when you get to meet a really cool person and you just remember that encounter forever. I do a lot of readings, but I feel like I don't want to forget all of them as much as I feel like I do. So it's one of the things that I've been trying to be more present and conscientious of. So, all right. I had an email reading with a person, and they were telling me, one of the questions that they asked was like, I am someone who very much enjoys decorating my home. Like home decor is easy for me, and I find pleasure and happiness in decorating and redecorating my home. And their question was, well, I recently have not been feeling the desire like I used to decorate my home. And I'm wondering if it's now time to start looking for a new house. So this lovely individual took the idea of, or the reality, the new change in their habits of not being able to find the same creative energy that they used to put into their house to decorate it. They were like, it's not, they told me that it's weird for them to not feel like it's effortless for them to decorate their house, and it's not something that they find enjoyment in right now. So they're like, maybe I need to find a new house. And I was like, I wish I could do that. That was my first like egotistical idea. I was like, I wish that I could just be able to want to think about buying a new house when I felt like I couldn't decorate mine anymore. But the reason I wanted to pick this was because the answer that I received, because I just told you, like, my egotistical brain was like, you just want to buy a new house because you feel like you can't decorate this one? That's kind of cool. Like, I'm jealous. But I was like, okay, well, what solar spirit actually wants to answer this question? And I wanted to share this experience because the answer that I got actually resonated with me a lot, and it's not what I thought the answer was going to be from spirit. So if you want, I know you guys like to do interactive things. If you want, pause the podcast, put your intuition on, your mediumship hat, your psychic abilities, flex them a little bit if you'd like, and see if you get an answer from the universe, your spirit guides, whichever, about what the answer is from spirit about this question of, this client, this lovely person, hasn't been feeling the same effortless urges to decorate or redecorate their home, which isn't a part of who they are. They're like, I feel very disconnected from this part of myself. So should I look or start looking for new houses or a new house? So pause the podcast. All right, we're back. So the answer that I got was, I was like, okay, remove your egotistical brain from this. See who from spirit, Olivia, wants to answer this question for this lovely person who is asking it with all good intentions. And the soul of this older woman stepped forward. And her answer to her current living loved one was, perhaps it's time to find a new house. However, the way I wrote it down differently in the email response reading, but the gist of it was, the soul of this woman said, your ability as a person to decorate your house is a reflection of your inner self and how you find yourself home within your own body, within your own energy, within your own essence. So if you're like super, super good at decorating your home, or someone that's really, really in tune with wearing the clothes or the style that you really like, you're perhaps someone that is very, very at home within themselves. Like, you find yourself at home within who you are, because being able to express yourself in the things that you wear and the house that you live in is a reflection of you feeling at home within yourself. So the soul of this woman said, perhaps at this point in time, you could look for new houses. Or is it the fact that you don't feel as at home with yourself or within yourself as you usually do? And because of this, it's reflecting in your inability to feel connected with decorating your house. And I was like, whoa. The reason I wanted to share this is because I have been struggling for the almost 4 years that we've been living in our house to decorate. And I thought it was because, like, I don't know, for the first year or two, I was working at my corporate job and I had like a steady income that was just dependent on me showing up at work and doing my best and then going home. But then so there's no, I wasn't in a financial place where I felt like I couldn't decorate my home. And I feel like I gave myself excuses as to why financially I shouldn't decorate my home, etc., for the first year or so. But now looking back on it, given the fact that I no longer work a corporate job, what I'm doing right now is my only form of income. Podcasts and private readings and YouTubes and Patreon, things like that, like as a content creator, is my only form of income. Now I have more of a financial reason to not. Well, I'm also a stay-at-home mom, but I'm like a working stay-at-home mom. So, coupled with those things, now I actually have a financial reason to not decorate, but I've actually been decorating the most in the past couple months than I ever have since we moved into this house. And I think it's because, honestly, I haven't been feeling at home within myself and who I am. So it's been a reflection, my house, my surroundings, the way that I look, the way that I dress, etc., of me not being comfortable in my own skin, in my own body, in my own energy, my own essence. And I think motherhood, becoming a wife and a business owner has really not changed who I am, but I think the principles and the foundation of who I am is now being used to create and build my sense of self and the direction I want to take my life in a different way than I thought it was before, you know? So it's not like I'm a new person or a different person. It's just that the tools that I have are going to be wielded differently in order to build that person, who I am, the business, who I am as a mom, a wife, etc. And I feel like I'm now beginning to be more comfortable in who I am in the direction of my life. Hence why I've been decorating a little bit more. After a couple months, I've saved up a little money and I'm like, oh, I could get this and I could get that. And I could use these towels that would accent this and bring out this aspect of things. And, like, I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below if you're listening on the PsycKicks Extras YouTube channel. Or on Apple Podcast reviews if you listen on Apple Podcasts, what you think about this. Because it was not the answer I thought I was going to receive, but this woman just stepped forward so politely in spirit, and she's like, perhaps it's that you don't feel at home within yourself, hence why you've been finding it hard to reflect that in the home around you. And I was just like, wow, I would have never thought about that. And it was just really beautiful. So I don't know. I still feel like I'm struggling with my own like personal style when it comes to like clothes and things like that, but I'm working on decorating my house, and if what this woman says in spirit is true, then I feel like I've started to come a little bit of a long way in feeling at home within myself. So, all right, we're going to move on to the next enlightening thing that I don't necessarily want to say trigger warning, but also trigger warning. It's not going to be as like happy. It's a little sad because it has to do with stuff that's been going on in my life and stuff that has happened in someone else's life, and it deals with the loss of family members. But as a medium, it's kind of what I deal with in the first place. So, okay, the next one. I had another email reading, and I think it's interesting that I found this enlightening stuff in email readings too. I have some other stuff from like in-person readings, but the email readings, I get a lot of questions sometimes about like, what will my future hold? What are my spirit guides and stuff like that, which is totally fine. I appreciate and enjoy answering those questions too, because everyone is in a different space on their spiritual journey and the questions that they feel that they need answered or help and guidance in now. But I really like when people ask me just like questions that aren't as like run of the mill, I would say. And someone asked me a really hard question the other day. And one of the really beautiful things about being a medium, and one of the things that I enjoy doing while I give readings, whether they be email readings or private readings, but a lot of the times, or maybe not a lot of the times, but there are beautiful times, beautiful moments when the readings that I have with lovely people such as yourselves listening is that the reading ends up helping me heal in a certain way as much as it hopefully helps you to heal in certain ways as well. And I'm not going to cry already. Like the ending of the story. I know the ending. You guys don't know what it is yet. But this email reading answer and the lovely soul who gave me the answer really helped me to heal a little bit. Because last week, 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, I wrote a Patreon update about how I've been feeling very sad about missing my friend who passed away a year ago. And you know how like you find friends in like the silliest, most random places that you'd never think that you'd find friends? And those friends end up being the ones that are just like gems in a coal mine. That was my friend Nicole. And losing her as unexpectedly as we did just crushed me, because she was like one of my first mom friends while I was pregnant with Oak. And my pregnancy felt very, very isolating, and I didn't get to share it with a lot of people. And I was just so excited about having a baby. And I had a miscarriage originally, and it was really hard for me as a medium spiritually too, because I had these ideas that I was going to have a boy first, and that when I had a miscarriage, I was like terrified to find out if Oak was going to be a boy or a girl, because I felt like if Oak was going to be a girl, that I had lost a baby, like a soul. And that's not always the case when you miscarriage or when you have a miscarriage. I've learned as a medium. But for months, I was just very upset and scared. And my past family, like female family members, had very like traumatic births. And I just was excited and scared. And I felt very alone a lot of times. And Nicole was someone who, after having a baby, was someone that I could talk to. And I never thought that when we became friends that she was going to be this person for me. So when she passed away, I was just devastated. It's been really, really hard for me now that Oak is born, because we had made so many plans to be together and for our children to grow up together. Nicole's husband is my husband's best friend, and he was Brad's best man in our wedding. So I wanted them to be Oak's godparents and things like that, and it just all kind of fell through. But her 1 year anniversary of passing was a couple weeks ago, and I talked about this on Patreon. So, let me get to the actual reason why what I want to actually share with you guys. So, I had a lovely person ask me in an email reading. They expressed to me that they have lost their father. And after a year or so, they felt like the grief had started to become easier and something that was more, they were able to accept and move on a little bit with their life, etc., etc. You know, losing someone, you grieve, and it doesn't get easier, but you accept it more, you know? And they told me that all of a sudden, the past couple months, this new wave of grief has just swept over their life with the loss of their father that has happened over a year ago. And they're like, I just don't understand why I have this new wave of grief, because I thought I'd finally gotten past this point of emotion in my life, and I don't know what to do. And they said that they had had a reading with me a year or so ago prior, and I had talked to their father. And he had very lovely things to say. I should also explain that while I was answering this email reading, I was waiting on Zoom for someone to show up for their private reading. And I had written their name down at the top of the piece of paper, because if you have a private reading with me over Zoom, I write things down because the information I get isn't for me, it's for you. And I want to make sure that no matter what information comes through, if it doesn't make sense to me necessarily or doesn't seem like it's a part of whatever is happening, that I say it, because it's not, the information's not for me, it's for you. And I want to make sure that I say it. If it makes sense, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. So I had written down the person that I was waiting for on Zoom, their name, and I wrote father, because I felt like there was a father spirit there. And I don't know, for some reason I felt like this person wasn't going to show up to the reading, but I was like, I feel like there's a father soul here. So like I have to, like maybe I'm getting the wrong vibes or like mixed signals. I'm not sure, but they were, time went on and they hadn't shown up for their reading. So I was like, well, I'm going to work on some email readings because I have time right now, because it's been hard to find time with Oak to stay up to date on everything. And I've been working hard to do that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do an email reading. And I answered this person's questions. And then I get to this question. I was like, oh, the father that's here isn't for the person that's missing their reading. And they missed the whole half an hour reading, because I stayed on Zoom and waited for them to show up, but they never did. And I used that time to answer this email question, which was, the soul of this man was not for my private reading. It was for this email reading. And I told this person, I was like, this is what's happening. Your dad is here. And his response to why his daughter is feeling this new wave of grief in her life about his passing was very enlightening. And it's helped me to not move on, but reach a new point of acceptance and hope, I guess, and maybe joy with the passing of my friend. So the new wave of grief from missing a lost loved one, if you guys have ever experienced this, the father of this woman said that when this happens, you've reached a new checkpoint in your life. So if you want to think about your life, think about it as not just one book, but like a saga of books, honestly, because you don't just have one chapter in your life. I feel like you have books. Some people in the witchy segment of spiritual things call it like maiden mother crone. If you're a dude, I don't know what would be the maiden mother crone version for a guy, like page king emperor, maybe. Yeah, page knight emperor. Let's do that. And they just like, your life is not just books in a chapter, it's a whole saga. You have new books. So the soul of this man, this woman's father, stepped forward and he said, you've reached a new season or a new book in your life. And when I was alive, I was there for you physically for those new chapters in that book and the new books that you reached in your life, the new seasons. He goes, but now I'm not physically in your life to be with you for those parts of your book of life. But I'm going to be there for you as a soul, because souls know, see, hear, and feel everything. However, he explained it to me that the reason you have this new wave of grief, however many years, etc., after someone that was close to you passed, is because you've reached that new point. But your soul knows, your living soul knows on a spiritual, subconscious level that this person that was so important to you is no longer going to be there physically. And it's almost like phantom limb syndrome almost of your soul. Where even though that part of you that you shared so many parts of your life with, or that person that was a part of you that you shared so many chapters and books in your life with isn't there, it still hurts, because now you've reached this new point in your life and you've put one foot in front of the other, but that other foot isn't there in the same way. And you're like, ow, 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 but it's not there. And when he just like it makes me angry, like as a medium, I understand that souls, like your body is just a portion of you, and your body isn't necessarily your soul. So when someone's body dies, their soul doesn't. So they're still with you. But it doesn't take away the pain of that person not being there anymore. And it was just such a beautifully bittersweet way to say, the reason you're having this pain is because your soul knows my body isn't going to be there in the same way to share these experiences with you. But by golly, have you made it to a new point in your life, and I'm still going to be there, but it's just going to be in a different way. And I just, with the loss of Nicole seeming to just bubble up out of nowhere, the grief, and what this lovely soul of this woman's father said just made me feel like, okay, I have reached a new point in my life. I have reached a new chapter, and it's going to be great. And it sucks that they're not here in the same way that they were in the other parts of our book of life. But they're still here, just in a different way. And we should be proud of ourselves that we've made it to a new chapter, a new point, a new season in our life, regardless. Because life moves on, you move forward. You accept that they're no longer physically in your life, and you learn to feel the ways that they are, your past loved ones are in your life to help guide you, but just in a different way. So if you have been experiencing a new wave of grief of someone who you've lost in your life, perhaps it's because that person helped you a lot in whatever facet or manner that you feel like you are embarking on a new journey in. For me, it was with my son. Nicole really, really helped me with the idea of becoming a mother and what it was going to take and what I could expect, and just being there for me. And I think the reason that this new wave of grief has hit me is because I've reached a new chapter, a new phase of being a mother with my son and my family. and she's not here for it. But that's okay, because she is just in spirit. Just as the father of this lovely woman who made an email reading with me, he's going to be there for her in all the ways that he could be in this new chapter of her life. But instead of physically, it will be spiritually. And you got to get used to that phantom limb sort of your soul. because life goes on, and the souls of the people who loved you the most are still going to be with you, because just because someone's body dies doesn't mean that their soul is gone. They're there. They're with you forever in any way, shape, or form that you need them. So, yeah. Sorry. Just blubbering like a baby. It was so healing for this woman's father to say the things that he did, because it's not something, again, like finding your home within yourself, that I would have thought as an answer. And it really helped me to heal a little bit from the overwhelming sense of new grief from losing my friend. I hope you all enjoyed this podcast. And I am going to try and continue practice being present and writing down the things which spirit teaches me through my work as a medium, and yeah, as a mom. And I hope you guys enjoy learning all of this stuff along with me. I also I've been talking about, if you listen to last Sunday's podcast, about how I feel like I'm a student and also a teacher. And one of the things that I, as a student, want to start learning about with spirituality is moon magic. And I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to find tidbits of time here and there to learn more about moon magic, because it's something that I personally want to learn more about. And I will for sure share that with you guys on the podcast, and hopefully more in depth on Patreon. So if you are interested in booking a reading with me, please feel free to go down to the show notes or the description below, depending on where you're listening at. And I know I have availability for the last 2 weeks in July right now, or the last week in July. I have like a couple days that are open, 1 or 2, and then August that people are starting to book out as well. So if that's something you're interested in, please check it out. If not, that's okay too. And if you want to learn more about becoming a patron and having more life updates and one-on-one Patreon lives and mediumship circles with me, please feel free to check out Patreon, and the show notes are linked below too. Until next time, I hope you all learned something enlightening and healing from today's sound waves. And yeah, peace.